out. Let me just show you the stratum lucidum before I get to there. Alright guys, so this is another section of the skin, but I just want to show you this basal part here, that's the stratum lucidum, and just a little touch clearer than above, or just this region here, stratum lucidum. See? That's the stratum lucidum, just above the granulosum. Huh? Most distal part of the skin. Talking about over there. People have those big words you use. No, over there. Anyway, I just put that slide to show you this thing, right? So don't complicate my life. Alright, so that's that. Now, this is a slide of the foot pad of the dog. So the dorsum of the foot, as you know, has hairy skin. So that's not thick skin, that's thin skin, right? So that's hair, this yellowish thing you see here is hair. It's that hair projecting out of the follicle. So you see a piece of the hair that's not broken off, that's hair. Everybody see that? That's hair. And you can see the hair sort of emerging from the follicle there. Also note that anytime you see hairy skin associated with the hair follicle is going to be sebaceous gland. So that's a sebaceous gland there. Alright, so I just thought I should show you that. Again, these are all hair follicles. So that's a hair follicle. And where's the hair? Absent. Sometimes the hair falls off during the preparation. These are all hair follicles there. And of course, these are all sebaceous glands. Sebaceous. Alright, so that's that. Now these large luminal structures represent sweat glands. So any gland you find in skin must be one or the other. It can't be anything else. And then this represents fat. Fat. This is what a well-nourished individual subcutaneous layer looks like. Well, thin skin on the other hand now, thin skin we will observe immediately the fact that the epidermis is not thick anymore. What is the epidermis now? It's slightly diminished. Also, we will observe that the keratinized layer is not as well developed either. So the keratin is not as big as it there. Then the dermis, as usual, dense irregular connective tissue. But we observe the presence of the numerous sebaceous glands. So these are sebaceous glands there. Notice that the sebaceous glands do not possess a lumen. There's no lumen with the sebaceous glands at all. And so they're not described as no tubule or anything. So how do we describe now or classify these sebaceous glands according to structure? They look like a little bag of grapes, and so we call them a simple acinar gland, or some books say a simple saccular gland, like a little sac. Simple because again the duct system doesn't branch. How do we classify these said glands now according to mode of secretion? Is it apocrine this time, or also the sweat glands are mainly neurocrine? What about sebaceous? Are these apocrine? They are holocrine. Holocrine. And what it means that these cells are destroyed during the secretory process, in the elaboration of the secretion, the whole cell matter. I want you to observe how pale these cells are and the vacuolated appearance of the cells. This is due to the presence of the lipid-based sebum. Lipid-based substance that we call sebum. The oily secretion. And this oily secretion is supposed to be antiseptic, antifungal, antibacterial. All these things are features of the sebum. Then next door now, we are seeing some luminal glands. These ones now are the sweat glands. Sweat glands. And an important thing to tell you is that the sweat glands are not always neurocrine. Some of them are apocrine. And the apocrine sweat glands are found in the skin of the groin, the skin of the axilla, and the sweat glands we find in the pineal. Pineal. So groin, axilla, and pineal. Some people say the ones in the lip are apocrine too, but I am not very sure about that. I don't know. What you said, Officer? Some people say that the sweat glands in the lip are apocrine. I don't know, so I won't comment on that. But there's an argument that the apocrine sweat glands are the ones that are in the not so nice smelling areas. So that would exclude the lip, right? But the groin, the axilla, and so on. Yes, I agree with that. Anyway, let's move on. Now guys, this happens to be a slide of the pineal. So look, this happens to be pineal. So that's the elastic cartilage there. But all of this represents dense, irregular connective tissue of the dermis. And the sebaceous glands are there in abundance. We're seeing some nerves, some blood vessels and so on. Another blood vessel there. It's another beautiful nerve. So all kinds of things are associated with skin. And by the way, it's not uncommon either. In some skin, the dermis also possess smooth muscle. Like the muscle we see in the darkest muscle of the scrotum. Smooth muscle. Alright? So this concludes your little talk on endocrine and integumentary.